What's up YouTube? This is Dusk here with a deck showcase for the other deck I had used in a previous week alongside my direct dawn control. It's a Fire Nature Hyperspeed ramp. I've got to tell you, between the direct dawn and this, I did not lose a single duel that day, and I'm really liking nature in this game a lot more than I did in Duel Masters. Back then I was all about darkness, but nature's been really good to me. One particular duel in question was just ridiculously fun to play. I'll tell you about that as soon as I get to the main card for that. But you're probably more interested in the deck list, so here it is. We're starting off with 3 Essence Elves. 2 drop creature, all your other creatures gain 1,000. Always useful. Extra power never hurt anyone. Well, except maybe your opponents. 3 Sprouts. 2 drop spell, Shield Blast. Top card of your deck, put it in mana. 2 copies of Breach the Veil. One of my favorite spells in the game. Level 3 Shield Blast. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, pick one of them that's a creature, show it to your opponent, put in your hand. Doesn't get simpler than that, and it's great for utility. Search power is always good too. 3 copies of Razorhide. One of my options in addition to Sprout for ramping up. You want to ramp up to about, I'll say 7 or 8 as quickly as possible in this deck, just to really put the pain on the enemy. Though, ramping up to 6 is damage dealing enough. I'll get to that later. I realize there's a lot of nature in here. If you guys got a problem with that, I'm sorry, but again, it's been really kind to me, especially this guy, Bronze Arm Tribe in 3s. Maybe 1 level higher, but he has not lost his touch from the old game, and I take back what I said. He is not going out of a job. I'm keeping him for a while. The new evolution creatures have seen to that. But yeah, level 4, 1k, but the moment you summon him, you can put the top card of your deck into mana. That'll show the enemy his boss. As will this, 2 copies of Gilliflame the Assaulter. I don't have to go into detail on him, but I will anyway. 4 drop, 5k, can attack immediately, but bounces back to your hand at the end of the turn. I use him in my final stretch most of the time, when I just need 1 more attack to win it, or if I want to peck at the enemy's shields while I'm in the process of summoning something big. Just take out 1 or 2 in the process. Really helps. It all comes down to discretion. I have 2 copies of Return to the Soil. I was going to make this 2 copies of Comet Missile. I will get into why I'm not doing that in a bit. But here's the way I look at it. Most blockers being used right now are level 4 or less. And this gets rid of them. As well as any other creature the opponent might have level 4 or less. Sure, they get a mana, but if you use this right, it can win you games just by getting rid of a key creature in their strategy. Or a key creature at a key time. To help me get my key creatures, I like to use 3 copies of the Great Arena. 4 drop, 3k, if you can summon a creature with 5,000 power or more, draw a card. One thing I really love about this card is that if you have 2 copies of Essence Elf, you get to draw the moment you summon him. He will come out as a 5,000 creature, thus kicking in his own ability. Though one of the most common creatures I have to do that, and everything after this will be 5,000 power plus, by the way. 3 copies of Hyperspeed Dragon, the namesake of the deck. When he's out, if you have at least one other armored dragon out, all armored dragons get fast attack. It's a lot to deal with in spades. YouTube's probably flooded with decks around this guy, but gotta have one for my channel. 3 copies of Tornado Flame. I'll be getting into why there's a reason I'm laughing. I'm gonna get to it in a bit. But yeah, Tornado Flame, 5,000 shield. Did I say 5,000? I'm at level 5 shield blast. Get rid of one enemy creature 5,000 power or less. Really good against certain game winners, like the one I'm going to show you next, until you pull off the near perfect game I did with this deck down at League. 2 copies of, hands down, one of my favorite creatures, Bestial Rage Tatsurion. Level 6, 5,000 power, double breaker. Has powerful attack plus 3,000, so he jumps up by 3k while attacking. Oh, and if he wins a battle, or rather, if the enemy has to block, he'll break a shield anyway. So no matter what, he's probably knocking 2 cards off your enemy's board. Now, a really fun duel I had with this guy was at League against a mirror match, actually. Turn 1, charge mana, obviously. Turn 2, played Sprout. Turn 3, played Bronze Arm Tribe. Turn 4, brought this guy out. I think I'd already lost 1 shield at this point, but I wasn't sweating it too bad. Turn 5, I summon an Essence Elf. Go in for the double break with Bestial Rage, and this is where Essence Elf saves your behind. One of the shields I broke was, in fact, a Tornado Flame. So, yeah, my opponent was pretty irritated that she couldn't get rid of my Bestial Rage Tatsurion thanks to that Essence Elf I had just dropped. I'm sorry, I found that hilarious. But yes, Bestial Rage Tatsurion, this thing will win you games if you can manage to bring it out. Just, I would never run this in any more than 2 now that or rather any less than 2 now that I have 2, because, oh man, it really hurts when that first one gets ramped into mana, and then you have to do all that drawing and searching, hoping to get the next one. But if you only have 1 and that happens, you're out of luck. Moving on. 2 copies of Bolgash Dragon. Having this in the deck is the main reason that those 2 common missiles became Return to the Soils. Whenever this armored dragon, which, just like Bestial Rage, partners up with Hyperspeed, launches an attack on the spot before the opponent gets to block, you can get rid of one of their blockers. Just send it straight to the discard pile. And it's a double breaker to boot. Fun times. Speaking of fun times, 3 copies of Mighty Shouter. Now, I realize this may be a little excessive, especially with the card I'm going to get into a little bit later, for giving the opponent mana, but if you're clearing out their attacks and their blockers, then, hey, it's a good way to clear space for victory. It's a good push. That's what nature's for. Just beat your way to victory. Starting on my level 7s, 1 copy of Lord Skycrusher. I only own 1, but 1's all you need. That is all you need. The moment you get this thing out, this is icing on the cake, really. I don't believe you should base a deck around this guy. I mean, it's probably a nice deck if you can base a deck around this guy, but I see him as icing on the cake. Or the cherry on top of a sundae, whatever you want to call it. This guy is... I mean, this is just the end of them. if you can bring it out. All other cards lead up to that once you bring him out. 3 copies of Root Trap. I promise this is the end of the cards that give the enemy free mana. I'm not running any darkness cards in this deck, so I couldn't make this 3 Terror Pits, as the first one would have to go to mana on the spot. So yeah, I wanted to do that, but realistically speaking, putting them as Root Traps was better. And finally, 2 copies of Tatsurion the Unchained. Bring him out, get rid of a creature, double breaker, and he can attack twice in a turn if he wins a battle. Nasty. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention what Sky Crusher does for those of you who don't know. 7,000, 7k, double breaker, that's powerful enough as is. He has an ability called Royal Command. Whenever he launches an attack, you get to pick another creature of yours. It gains 5,000 power and double breaker until the end of the turn. So that's why he's, like I said, icing on the cake. He's a game winner. But yeah, that's my Fire Nature Hyperspeed ramp. Tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe if you like the video. Unfortunately, since I used this previously, I can't show you a dual video with it. I didn't have the camera that day, and I just want to show this deck off now before I make a new version with the Evo Fury cards that I just got last Monday in the mail. But yeah, this is Dusk, signing out. See you guys later.